In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my strategy for finding profitable NBA player prop picks using the Insights tab on Outlier.bet. If you don't know who I am, I'm Lid the House RM. I've been doing sports betting content and posting profitable sports betting picks for the last 9 years across all of the platforms, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Discord. I'm one of the OGs in this space, and I'm coming off one of my best months ever. In the month of January 2026, I made over $2,000 profit, a 54% ROI, all on Underdog Fantasy, Prize Picks, Sleeper, and Chalkboard. So these are all parlays, and they're only on player prop picks for the NBA and the NFL. I post all of these plays for my VIPs. If you want to become a VIP, if you want to skip the entire strategy portion of this video, if you don't want to figure out things yourself and you just want to see my plays, you have to sign up to become a VIP. There's a link in the description below that will give you a free trial so you can try it out for a few days before you buy, so you can basically make enough money in those few days to pay for the subscription for my VIP picks. These are the kind of results that you would get from me, and you don't really need to know all of the strategy behind it. I do post a lot of my research when it comes to this stuff, but if you don't want to learn how to do all the research yourself, or if you just don't have time for it, this video is for you. So this is one of my strategies that I use for the NBA every day. Specifically, it's using the Insights tab on Outlier.bet. If you don't know what Outlier is, it is a paid subscription website. It basically pulls data from all the other sports books and compares the line to the recent performance of the players. So you could use it to find trends. You could use it to find the game script to what the game is tonight. You can use it for positive EV picks, whatever you want to use it for. But it is a paid website. But if you want a 7-day free trial for Outlier so you could try it out in case you want to try this strategy out yourself, there's a link in the description below where you can get just that. And also, while you're in the description, join my Discord server too if you have any questions about Outlier or just sports betting in general. My Discord's got about 2,000 people in there at this point. Really good place to be. A lot of people helping each other out. I'm always active in there. And that's completely free to join. You don't need to be a VIP to join my Discord server. It's unlike a lot of the other ones out there in this space. That link's also in the description below. But anyways, let's get into the strategy here. I'm going to turn off my camera just so I can go through things a little bit easier for you guys. So this is what the screen looks like on Outlier.bet, specifically the Insights tab. Now I'm just going to start from scratch, from the very beginning here, on what I do each day for my filters and for everything. So, first thing that I do is I filter for my books. This is actually normally saved for me, but, just because I'm showing you guys from the beginning, I kind of clear them all out other than the books that I want to use, which for me, Underdog Fantasy, Prize Picks, and Sleeper generally. So I'll filter all these other books out. Next, for insight type, I go for player because I'm only looking at player props here. I don't really care about the team trends. Games I leave alone unless I want to filter for just the games today, which is what I'll do for the purpose of the video. It's a short 4-game slate, Super Bowl Sunday actually, so all the games are early in the afternoon. Players I leave blank, teams blank. Odds, so for the odds, I always filter for minus 120. For the because I don't want to have these minus 1,200 odds plays or some of these crazy goblin lines that have been hitting every single time. Then I go to props here. The only props that I look at for NBA are basically the main props. So assists, points and assists, points and rebounds, points, PRA, RNA, rebounds. And I think that's it for right now. Usually there's field goal attempts and a couple of first half props that I'll do. But since we're doing this really early in the day, well, really late at night actually, before the day starts, all the props aren't going to be up there. So we're not going to see a ton, but you'll get the gist of how I do this process once I start going through it. So then I'll keep scrolling. I leave the hit rate blank. We'll go to splits, and I do at home and away. because I'm only looking at home and away splits when I'm using the Insights tab. It's just kind of a quick way of me being able to find these plays without having to jump into each individual player's player card, turning on the filter for home and away, and then going further. And then I generally start with the over, because if I do under, you're going to see all these players going under a ton, 17 straight games, right, for this guy here on the Clippers. But the reason for that is because his role has changed. They made a couple trades at the trade deadline, and he's not gonna go. He might go under 7.5 points, but this trend for the last 17 games doesn't fit for tonight. So that's kind of why I start on the overs, and then if I need to go to the unders, I will. But generally, it's better practice to start with the overs when you're talking NBA, just because the roles change so much. All right, so we're gonna filter for the overs, and that's all the filters that I use, and then I just sort by hit rate, right? So descending by hit rate, so the highest hit rates are at the top, and then I just kind of look through all of these cards here on what I want to do. So this Ao Dosumu, not something I want to touch right now, just because I know he just got traded to the Timberwolves. So this isn't really a spot that I'm going to look at because the trend doesn't matter for right now because his last 11 games were with the Bulls. They weren't with the Timberwolves. So different player, different role. Um, Obviously, the trade deadline just happened. When you're doing this not around the trade deadline or like the very beginning of the season or something, it's going to show more true results. But just because we're right after the trade deadline right now, we have to be a little bit more careful with it. A good one to look at here potentially is the Pascal Siakam one, going over 10.5 rebounds and assists in 6 of his last 7 games on the road. I try to find larger sample size, so like I'll scroll down until I see something like I don't even know here. Davion Mitchell, 15 out of his last 19 games on the road. This could be a play that we do. So over 6.5 assists. I generally don't like to take just assists, but we'll look at it anyways. So we'll look at the player card here, and we'll scroll down. You see it's just showing what the insight is showing me, so like the 15 out of 19 games. So then I'll actually backtrack it a bit, and I'll go look at the full season. Then I'm going to filter for away games. So, okay, he's gone over this number in 16 out of 22 away games this year. That's solid, right? But then I also play with these other filters, the games with and the games without players. So I want to look at the games where Tyler Hero is out because he's a main guy for the Heat, and he's going to be out today. And then it goes to a 12 out of 17 game sample size, which is okay. Not like perfect by any means, but still a solid prop. And then you can go a step further if you want, do games with Bam. And it goes to 10 out of 15 games. This kind of shows a true picture of what it's going to look like tonight. Heat without Tyler Hero, with Bam. You could even go further, go with Norman Powell, 9 out of 13 games. So he's only gone over this number, really, 9 out of 13 games. In the current situation tonight. It's solid, but I try to find like closer to 80% if I could. But then what I'll do from here is, I'm on the assist, right? And then I'll go and look at all the other props that include the assist, just because occasionally the insight will be missing something, or like it's not going to tell the full story of the game tonight. So there might be something in here that is better than this assist prop with all these filters on, but also includes the assist. So I'll get the points plus assists. I'll do the same thing without Hero, with Bam, with Powell, on the road. Look at that. 10 out of 13 games this year. So that is actually better than the regular assist line that we were looking at before when it was 9 out of 13. So then, I'll kind of mark this down as 10 out of 13. So that's what I'm looking to beat now. We'll go to rebounds plus assists. We'll do the same thing. We'll go Hero out. Bam, Powell in. Away games. Okay, 7 out of 13. I don't want to deal with that. Look at the PRA, just do the same thing. Bam in, Powell in. And if Powell gets ruled out, you'll just change that over here and you'll look at the different story then. But 8 out of 13. Long story short, the best play here out of the bunch is the 16.5 points and assists for Davion Mitchell today. Is this a guarantee to hit? No, nothing's a guarantee to hit. But it is giving you a really good opportunity to hit because it is showing that this number may potentially be too low for the current situation tonight. So I'm just going to mark that down just so I can go back to it later. And then I go back to the Insights tab and I do the same thing. You're not going to find much on here because obviously all the trades that had just happened, it's going to affect everything. We can look at the Mikal Bridges if we want to start, 6 out of 7 games on the road, over 14.5 points, getting juiced a little bit. So actually the line I want to see is probably 15.5 at this point. And then we'll do away games on the season. Okay, it's gone over in 16 out of 24 away games. So that's nice. We'll do games without McBride. Okay, over 7 out of 10 without McBride. I don't have to include McBride because McBride comes off the bench. But we can go with games like with Hart, Towns, and Brunson to see what they look like when they're fully healthy. 12 out of 14 games on the road of Mikal Bridges going over this points number. Maybe I could include OG Anunoby because he is a guy in a similar role and he is a starter. Okay, 7 out of 9. Averaging 20.1 points per game. The points here is 15.5. solid difference. And if I even take out OG, it's still 20.3 points per game. So solid number for Bridges here. I think you guys get the gist now of what I do is I start here on the Insights tab, just kind of give me a little cheat sheet to start on, and then I go into the player card and I look at it further. I'll even show you this the AO Dosumu example just to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about here and how you can identify players who may have just been recently traded if you don't pay any attention to anything. You see that, he's on Minnesota now. Look at his last 5 games. He was on Chicago. Okay, so there is not going to be any sample size, no matter what filters I pull here for Dosumu, of him being on the Timberwolves because he hasn't played a game for them. So none of the trends matter for him at all. So it's a completely new role, completely new team. Like, you could essentially throw all this out at this point and start fresh. And the same thing goes for like Keita on the Celtics too, in a sense, because they added Nikola Vucevic, who is the same position as Keita. They're both big men, both centers essentially, and all these other games here, other than the last one. So you can filter this by doing like games with Vucevic, right? And you see just the one game that Vucevic was on the Celtics. And if you look at the full year, you're going to see 3 games here in the sample size. But the difference is these first 2 games were before that Vucevic trade. Because you see it's against the Bulls, and Vucevic was on the Bulls. So just a little pro tip for you guys. Be very careful when you're looking at the trends. Make sure that it actually matches what you're trying to look for right now, especially since the trade deadline just happened. And so many things affect all of the roles and the minutes and the usage for basically all these players around the NBA right now, especially for the teams who made the major trades. But hopefully you found this video insightful and useful. I'm going to try doing more strategy videos like this in the future so you guys can learn how to find the picks that I find every day, because obviously looking at my results from last month, really good month for us. My best ever, actually. And it's easily possible as long as you put in the work for it. What I always say is lazy effort gives you lazy results. So if you're not going to put in the time for all this stuff, you're probably not going to win much. Or you're going to like barely break even. The more time you put into it, the more smart decisions that you make during your process, the better it's going to work out for you in the long run. Like I mentioned before, this website is called Outlier.bet. If you want a 7-day free trial for Outlier, there's a link in the description below. If you want to sign up for my VIP so you don't have to do the research yourself and you only care about the plays that I'm posting, there's a link in the description below where you can get just that. I think it's like a 3-day free trial or something. And then I charge like $10 a month, $10 a week, $20 a month, or you can sign up for an annual package for like, I think it's $180 a year. Not too bad, but it pays for itself, essentially. A lot of people are in there. But if you don't want to become a VIP and you don't want to sign up for Outlier, you can always rely on my YouTube videos. So subscribe to the channel, join the free Discord server, and let me know in the comments if you found this helpful. Thanks for watching, guys.